okay, look, we can go back and forth about, you know, like the anime of like Twin Stars, and trust me, manga fans, I've heard, and I will believe you, like, for like the 70% of that stuff, like, you know what you've been saying, and like, I just like to reassure you guys, I am gonna be reading the manga, like, probably after like these 12 episodes or so, like, once maybe they've wrapped up. I know there's like gonna be a second half to it, but you know, I will be reading it probably after this first arc finishes. But I generally don't think, even with this episode, that you can kind of hate it, especially with like the artistic value that last part had, especially between Rokuro and Benio, and even some of that stuff when he just went absolutely fucking ballistic on Yuto. So I like, honestly, I feel like I'm talking to the air, well, physically and, you know, literally, you know, like going to it, but like regardless of what and all that, I understand, but ooh, we need to stop the crying, alright? It's like, as I've always said every time, you don't like an adaptation, just don't watch it. Either you're just saying, oh, I just want to see how worse it gets, that's just being childish at the end of the day. But even still and all that, it's like, out of adaptations, like, coming from like the manga material and all that, I'm pretty sure they don't do this scene right, or they don't do that justice, but there are scenes in this, definitely in this episode, and there are some moments in here where I'm like, okay, that actually kind of got me, and that's a fucked up scene. So we're gonna be talking straight away where Benio was losing her fucking mind, saying like, Rokuro, tell me the fucking truth, and he just cannot, like, look at her in the eye. And I'm surprised she was like pulling a fucking sword out on him. It's like, tell me the fucking truth. And like, you even see like as well, like, with their masters, like, look, there's more to this story. There's some shit going on with this story that we don't know. And it's like, you know what, out of all the people to fucking join, it's like that little bastard that we've been seeing from like near the start of the series, fucking Yuto, right there, and he's like, hi Roku, we meet again, and it's like, wow, you piece of shit. And Rokuro had a good fucking reaction to that, which is running at him, swinging, he's all bandaged up, like containing him like that, and he's like, oh, it's so good to see you, say again, so good to see you, Rokuro. And it's like, the sister, like, Benio is just like, shut up, I'm talking right now. Like, throughout the entirety of this, Benio's entire life, like, and all that, thinking that her brother was this really nice person and like this really, like, you know, someone that she looked up to, and then seeing at the end of the day, it's like, look at how much of a piece of shit, like, is going through this. And I kind of, like, I wanted to see a bit of Seigen in action, but I've got to say though, like, from what we, like, he was like, oh, you shouldn't move Seigen because, you know, Mayura on the ground right now, something could be happening. He's like, yeah, fine, I guess I'll fucking, you know, stay put for a bit. And getting the actual full background on the Hinatsuki tragedy, which turns out Yuto turned his fellow fucking classmates into Kagari, and it ended up being Rokuro who had to put them down because it was like, they wanted to get stronger. Like, they innocently thought, oh, there was some like nice things going on, like, oh, I can innocently, you know, do this, and, you know, like, oh, we can get stronger alongside with Yuto, and, you know, like, him and all that. It's like, yeah, like, we can do this. And it's like, just like him seeing, and I think the rough part of it was like when he saw that one girl just grabbed Attack on Titan style, and not her neck was snapped, her half her fucking head was just ripped out, like bitten off. I'm like, that's really rough. I was like, ooh, kids seeing that at that age, ooh, yeah, you're gonna need cancelling after that, cause boy. And I just loved, like, his just, like, throughout the entire, this is just Rokuro's, like, reaction on there, where he just loses it. He doesn't even use the Master Armor Talisman to even, like, activate his, like, Armor Fist anymore, where he's just doing it and he's losing his mind, he's, like, turning into a monster. There's a lot more going on with that, I think there is, because it's, like, screaming and stuff like that, so I'm wondering, is that, like, some Kagari armor or something like that? Is that, like, exactly what that is, like, why it's black? So I'm kind of curious, because I remember seeing, like, when, especially when Yuto was trying to make all those, like, little figures and all that, like, all those people that were black as well, so I was a little bit curious about that, you know, there's something going on with that, and especially that as well, Yuto, like, from what we have, like, is obviously it's shown that he had Kagari corruption, and that's, like, what he did to get stronger, and there's some, you know, there's some interesting things about that, and obviously, like, his whole test was to find out, like, even if they, like, if they fail, they turn into Kagari's, if they don't, then they end up turning up to, like, you know, onto his level, which I'm very curious about, and just after all that, he's just like, I'm just here to talk, I'm just here to tell you about some stuff, and it's like, that's all I'm here for. And just even after all of that, like, fucking Benio, like, I just, like, all throughout the entire, like, thing about, you know, what about mom and dad and all that, what do you think of that? It's like, you know, like, I've got to make things, like, I've never respected you once as an exorcist. I've never respected the family. Oh, my, I don't know, I felt so bad for her in this episode. It's just like, your foolish parents flawed over you and playing the role of good brother to an idiot who couldn't see reality. Just her shaking and then just ending up in tears. I legit just felt so bad for her. And I was like, this idealistic world that she's had all along has just come crashing down upon her. Up to the point where she just keeps seeing Rokuro just flinging back at this guy, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's just like, no, I've got to stop this. Like, because, like, Rokuro's covered in blood. He's going insane. Ends up, like, taking a hit like that, blocking him. Goes into, like, a metal fucking canister. Poof, just smashes in there and breaking it. I'm like, that's, like, you might want to call it a day after that. And it's just like, after everything, it's like the crime that you've had and all that all along isn't killing the kids and all that, isn't like bringing me down. It's the fact that your crime out of everything is your lack of commitment to become truly powerful. Like that's like the thing, which he speaks a bit of truth. Like, you know, out of all of it, he speaks a little bit of like truth out of this, because, you know, he's been running away all this time and now he's head on like with an opponent that he can't even beat, and that wasn't even a single match, or he couldn't do a block of fucking damage to him. He was the one that was getting his ass handed left and right. And like I said, with like the manga fans especially, it's like, you know, if you don't like that stuff, like, that's fine. But I honestly felt like the most best moment, a beautiful moment on there. And I honestly don't, like, if you're at that point where you're that petty with the fucking anime, then there's no hope for you there. But I think they did a fucking fantastic job when they were talking about, like, just, like, when both of them were back in the human world, and it's like, you know, she was, like, crying, she was down on her fucking knees, and it's like, you know, and yeah, there's nothing I can do but bow my head to you in penitence. It's like, you know, like, that's all I can do for you. And it's like, just some beautiful fucking art in the background, and some really good animation there, and just like, you seen Rokuro just raise your head. When you put it that way, I'm not that different. Yuto was right in a way. I've lived with him for a long time. It's my own fault. I didn't see what he really was, but he was right. I need to get strong, and if I had really stopped him like 2 years ago, like, this wouldn't have happened, any of this. So, you know, we're making this vow now that, you know, we need to get stronger. And it's like, so next episode, seemingly like we're going to be having a try, like, most shows, like, kind of like when, especially with like a ton of 12 episode kind of mark here, and I think that's what they're definitely going for. Like, I know like the show's going to be 24 and longer, but they're definitely showing that they probably want to wrap this arc, like, around about like at episode 12. That's probably what they want to be doing right now. So next week definitely looks like we're going to be having like a training episode mixed in with some gag stuff, but I mean, I know you guys, and I don't know, like, especially why I'm trying so hard, like, with the Blue, like, with all these fans and all that. Like, I never tried this at all with Blue Exorcist, and yeah, I'm trying this with, like, Twin Star Exorcist with it. It's like, I don't know, like, I feel like there is good in this show, even if, like, this manga, even though I haven't read it all, it's like, oh, there's, like, this amazing stuff in there, but I feel like there is gold in here, and people do enjoy it. It's just that everyone that's on the comment section just seems to fucking despise and hate this show, but, like, even they are, no, there's good stuff in this show, and I fucking love the music. I fucking love what they did in this episode with the animation and the art, especially the art at the end. I thought, like, that autumn sort of scenario background and all that, that was really good stuff, and the voice acting as well was really fucking good, so I don't know what else you fucking guys want at the end of the day. Like, I don't know, like, maybe we wanted it all to be perfect, 100% all that from that. Regardless, I still think there's some fucking problems with this show, but I would say this is probably one of the best episodes that we've had in the series. But I'm pretty sure I ain't going to please anyone saying that, but regardless of what, I really enjoyed this episode, and I definitely felt the emotion between, like, Rokuro, Yuto, Benio. Like, the Benio scenes, like, got me a lot, like, especially with, like, Rokuro just going ape shit after everything like that. So, I'm just going to leave it there. Like, I enjoyed it, and I feel like now, if you can't enjoy any part of the show after all of that, then just, there's no hope. don't watch it. Don't make up a bullshit excuse. I want to see how it gets. No, that's just being childish and pathetic. Just don't. If you don't want to watch the adaptation at this point, just don't fucking watch it. That's just the end of it. Like, don't make up a bullshit excuse. It's childish and that's it. But I enjoyed it, and I feel like at this point, fuck it. You know, if you don't enjoy it and I enjoy it, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to a different opinion. So there we go. That's all from me. So thank you much for watching as always, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time with another Twin Star Exorcist review.